So how funny is it that we basically now have every single Dungeons and Dragons class in the game as a character except for the BARD? Speaking of the BARD, a side tangent here. This is the character that Zed wants in the game extremely badly. He wants him to be a support that plays music to boost his allies. Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Knight's biggest update since they gave everyone a starter weapon. The new year is here and with it come a new update, 7.0.0, and it's by far the most fun I've had playing Soul Knight in ages. I swear Soul Knight devs just get a boost in power every January, make a great update that changes the game forever, then just rest and spam waifus till the next year. No complaining though because it makes January very exciting. 7.0.0 introduces two new characters, the BARD finally after so long, and let me tell you I have never seen Zed this happy before. And the gunner, which everyone is being super creative about the jokes they make with him. Yes, I took a screenshot drunk Raptidon 28. In addition, this year Soul Knight will be focusing on reworks, and the first patch is here, bringing us a rework to the Priestess, the Taoist. Okay. I can think of a bunch of characters that need reworks more than the Taoist. He's not great, but I really don't think he needed one. Like seriously, how do we rework the Taoist before the officer? Wait, what's the third character? So after so long, the officer finally receives his rework, and words cannot describe how happy I am. Yes, this is a video fully outdated now, but I don't even mind. So yeah, you can understand why this review is a bit long. We're looking at 5 characters, so buckle up. And as if this was all not enough, we also got a new mechanic, weapon evolutions and skins. First off, imagine paying money for quite literally 40 pixels of color. I appreciate the free ones, but this is definitely something I'll skip. I'm not buying weapon skins. Second off, I like the idea of weapon evolution. Certain weapons being stronger and get new mechanics. Shall you choose to fight a stronger boss to get the yellow prints? Definitely grind for them. They are well worth it. We also got a total of 4 new events. Yes, 4. Remember when we'd get a max of 1 and the whole ass update would be based on it? Yeah, forget about that. First off, the new season mode is here. Sacred Weapons of the Old Continent. Good riddance to Cray Commander, that thing got boring real quick. There's also Cheerful Co-op, where you can get a weapon skin and a fish ship for playing co-op and completing missions with friends. I actually really like this and it's a good incentive to try out the reworked Priestess and Taoist. The Power Up event, which at first glance seems like a Rosemary Island ripoff because Chillroom just wants to piss me specifically at this point, but it is actually a really fun event where you can become stupidly overpowered and you can get a fish ship from it, so definitely try it out. And finally, the big one, Knights Assemble, where you share codes with friends to get attack chances against Valkyrie Leader and get rewards for it. It's a way to get people to invite friends to play Soul Knight together. You can help 2 people and you need up to 5 people to help you out. So sharing codes around will get everyone the feast loot, which means the Soul Knight subreddit is, let's just say the mods are having fun right now.
We're saved! What's your name, new hero?
It's Titan.
Titan has freed us!
Oh, I wouldn't say free. More like under new management.
The reward includes a fish ship and a paid skin of your choosing. You can pick 1 out of 10 choices. The paid skins for the event include Pharaoh Mommy, Chinese mythology skin number 781, Reddit's somehow number 1 choice, batteries sold separately, League of Legends Psyops if it was good, fastest character to lose their penis in Soul Knight history, fuck you mean this is the Berserker, this is a skin for the child character by the way, the anime girl that gets into the freaky ass wine scenes, and...
Oh yeah, one more thing!
So yeah, you got a tough choice to make. I think you all know what skin I chose. The Lancer, of course, this skin is goated. Alright, so now that I spent more time listing off the new content for this update than the time I spent reviewing the World Age, I must say, this update is really amazing. And besides the occasional glitches...
Hey! Goodbye, bitch!
I'm having a blast playing Soul Knight again. First like when I first started and had a ton of things to try out. And like, look at that load screen animation though, that's awesome. I'm pretty sure that's the first time they ever did this. Alright, let's get into what interests me and you, the new characters. The BARD, our first support since the Priestess, and the Gunner, a nice return to basic Soul Knight character designs. So let's stop beating around the bush, because the bush is dead at this point, and let's talk about Soul Knight's newest heroes and hero reworks. The BARD has been one of the most anticipated characters in the game, so she has a lot of expectations to meet. And does she meet them? Well, let's just say that she is unique. And by unique, I mean really, really demanding. The best way to describe the BARD is that one girl from high school that just wants everybody's attention. And man, is the Bard attention demanding. It's literally impossible to play her without gluing your eyes to the screen. The Bard is a support character with 6 health, 6 armor, and 220 energy. She's slightly tankier than the Priestess and costs more for some reason. Now, being the first support character we've had in literal years, she has some expectations to meet, especially with how much Priestess covers support in general. So let's see how she fares. Her starter weapon is the Forest Melody, a projectile-based assault rifle that has a secondary mode to fire projectiles like a shotgun. Short and sweet, don't bother with this thing. Its damage is meaningless, its accuracy is very bad, and its projectiles are so slow, you can almost outrun them. It's that bad. It also costs 2 energy, which really contradicts the best use for her skill. More on that later. Passive increases her movement speed and her bullet size every time she hits an enemy or upon enemy deaths by picking up notes, second up to 3 times and lasting 3 seconds. This makes her overall faster if you keep attacking and killing enemies. And hey, look, how convenient, that's already what you're here to do. The pickup radius on the notes is extremely forgiving, so it's not like the Lancer's second skill where you have to walk through a meat grinder to get it. Her passive is just kind of brain dead, honestly. Just make sure you move around and you'll be automatically better, which would usually be a turn-off for me if it wasn't for how her skill is the complete opposite of brain dead. Her skill is called Melodic Pulse. When used, the Bard spawns an aura around her that grants herself and all nearby allies increased attack speed. A melody then plays like a timer. Deactivating the skill at the right time, which is half a second after the third note plays, refreshes the aura time, upgrades it, and deals damage to all enemies within. Level 2 grants yourself and all allies bonus damage and extra crit rate. Level 3 reduces all energy cost on current weapons by 1, and Level 4 grants everyone bonus defense. You can then continue on perfectly timing the melody to keep the skill going indefinitely, only ending when you miss the beat and by pressing the skill too early or too late, or dying. So, just to recap, if you get good at timing the melody and maintain the aura, you can give yourself and all nearby allies in co-op bonus attack speed, damage, crit rate, energy, and defense with 0 cooldown. Now this might make you think that she's an S-tier hero, which she might be in the heads of a one-trick. However, there is a small problem. Remember how I called the elf's press skill unwieldy and hard to use for the average player? Yeah, this shit is just toxic to the average player, spits in the face of the experienced player, and straight up beats the shit out of the new player. It's so difficult to constantly maintain the tune no matter how much you focus, especially while using your weapon, dodging bullets, swapping weapons to remove attacks, and War 3 dodging elemental attacks. It's very overwhelming. It's so overwhelming that in the few Bard co-op matches I've played, I sometimes ignored attacking and dodging just to keep my aura on. Do you know how fucked up a skill has to make you be that you hit this meme in-game? It's so rough. A genuine advice to playing the Bard is straight up muting the game so they can listen to the melody. That way you can focus your eyes on dodging bullets and you don't need to look at the visuals, which on one hand was a pretty interesting experience. I tried it out, and since the Bard's theme is just straight up majestic, I was having a fun time. But on the other hand, made playing against bosses really, really awkward. I might be painting the wrong picture here though. This thing is not bad and definitely not a joke. Potentially forever lasting increased damage, attack speed, resistance, and crit chance is incredibly powerful. And the fact that it constantly deals damage with every refresh helps the Bard playstyle of constantly moving around. And if you get good at it, then dear god, your duo would be having the time of his life. Imagine the Berserker with all these buffs. There is a couple of downsides. The first one is that the statue effects will not play with refreshes. So if you have a good statue, it's kind of wasted. The second off is the keyword. The keyword there being getting good at using the skill. You need to be on top of your game because messing this thing up is a big pain in the ass. The difference between a level 1 aura and a level 4 one is no joke, and you need to put all your mind into it, while also dodging, while also shooting your weapon. Yeah, it's quite the tasking skill. Now the advantage of this thing lasting forever is great, but if you mess it up, you'll have to restart from the beginning, which can punish your teammates quite drastically, as while they are fighting for their lives to pass the room, your ass is over there in the corner reciting your banjo lessons. So what's the problem with the high skill floor ability that gives you a ton of reward? Isn't that a good thing? Well, there is a problem with that. Yeah, Prey gives you a similar reward to everything your skill gives you, with absolutely no cost, range, minigames, or muting the game required. The only advantage you have is that you can make it last forever, if you're good. But even the best players will mess it up sometimes. You have to focus on so much. And if you mess it up, you'll have to wait longer than you would have waited just waiting for Prey to come off of cooldown. So yeah, I have to say I am quite disappointed. This character has a ton of potential and it requires a ton of skill only just to be a worse Prey. Oh well, on to the next character I guess. Wait, what did you say her third upgrade was? This energy cost, huh? What? So you guys remember how I was just saying this thing is just discount prey? Well, I just remembered something. The blue Gatling gun exists, and so does the gas blaster, and the sweet talk, and all those spammy 1 energy guns. That's only downside is how much energy they consume. Okay, yeah, I definitely overreacted. The wound the energy cost on some weapons is actually nasty, especially since you only need level 3 to do it, you don't need to maintain level 4. This doesn't make the skill on the same level as Prey in my opinion, but rather a decent side grade to it, since while Prey is easier to use and gives health and armor, this skill gives you the ability to cosplay a clone trooper on a Saturday morning. So overall, while it's a hard skill to use and there are easier skills out there that are just as effective, the Bard's skill and her kit overall are pretty strong for those willing to put in the time. So basically she'll be in the elf situation a few months after her hide dies down. Her kit is fun enough for what it is, and I have to say it's quite challenging to play her effectively. And I like a challenge. I'll give her gameplay a 6 out of 10. It's fun and challenging, but not something that I'd play or recommend for a new or returning players. In fact, I did indeed want to buy the pharaonic skin for her at first because yeah boy is Egyptian. But trying her out made me change my mind, as her gimmick is very rough, honestly. Let's end on a higher note though. Her visual design. First off, I'm glad she isn't horny baited to hell and back. She looks like a wholesome character. I love that she skedaddles around quicker than all the other characters for no reason. It makes her quite cute, and her trailer made her seem like quite a nice character. Visually, she's a 9 out of 10 for sure. I give the character overall a 7.5 out of 10. A decent interpretation of the Bard, and most importantly, a creative one. And hey, no dragons were fucked in the creation of this character. Take that, DMD. Now let's move on to the Gunner, a character that straight up came out of nowhere.
Universal donor.
There was basically no advertising or leaks about him. He just showed up in the announcement message for the update and was chilling in the game for no reason. Only a couple of days later where his trailer dropped. Yes, they just needed some time to iron out some bugs. So, the Gunner. Not to be confused by the Knight, whose main thing is pulling out 2 guns, or the Berserker, whose main thing is firing guns just very quickly, or the Officer, whose entire identity is, you know, just a gun.
You call that shooting? I'll show you some real shooting. Now beat that, varmint.
Gee, that's tough. But I'll try.
Surprisingly, he's actually friends with the Officer. A trailer similar to that the Trickster revealed their story. From what I gathered, the Gunner was a wanted vigilante in the land where Officer came from. The Officer, being the sheriff of this country, tried getting through him to convince him that he should never harm the innocent for justice. It seems both have a different idea of justice, however. The Officer gets shot and injured, but the Gunner surprisingly pulls him away and saves him from his pursuers.
Dilran, up! This is no place to die.
Appreciating him for doing so, the Officer gives him an amulet when he is called to the magical land where Soul Knight takes place, letting the Gunner join him in their quest to save it once the new sheriff arrives. Honestly, a pretty cool story. Not as involved as the one with the Trickster. It's fine though because the vibes are there and that's what matters. The Gunner is a damage character with 6 hearts, 7 armor, and 220 energy. The bonus armor and energy help him get through levels more easily because everything in his kit really discourages you from using melee weapons, and it really shows. His starter weapon is ironically one of the most fun ones in the game. It's the standard sniper rifle, however with a fast fire rate and a ridiculously high crit rate. It'll periodically do the spin attack that can erase bullets and fires a bonus shot after shooting. This is pretty much the Gunner's only form of defense, and I do recommend holding on to this thing for a while. It's also one of the better weapons that synergizes with his skill. More on that later. His passive gives him a bonus attack speed, crit rate, and accuracy on kill, stacking up to 4 times and lasting 10 seconds.
Wait a minute.
I'm sure you'll recognize him. There. Look familiar?
Uncle Stewart!
Why do they make the same passive twice and slightly different mechanics and give them to 2 characters? I mean, it makes more sense on the Gunner than the Bard, but still. Both NPCs of them do the same thing too, like come on. Much like the Bard before him, this passive is pretty forgettable. It's pretty damn strong though, but you don't have to go out of your way to use it, nor does it change much about your game plan. You're still going to shoot enemies down anyways, just better after a few kills. It's like the assassin gains a fucking Jedi training manual from his passive, the airbender unlocks his avatar potential, meanwhile the Gunner just puts a gun on his gun. His skill is where he shines, however. What's his skill, you might ask? To put it simply, guns.
Which will it be?
All.
The Gunner's skill, Marksman Mastery, gives him a different effect based on his main hand than offhand weapon. Offhand effects are only half as effective as your main hand. Pistols deal explosive damage. Shotguns deal more damage at close range, sniper bullets bounce between targets, and machine guns deal more damage after a few hits. Every other weapon type, including melee, will grant you bonus attack speed. Like previously mentioned, the offhand effects are halved. So if you have a pistol in main hand and a melee in the offhand, your pistol will fire faster while also dealing explosive damage. If you have a sniper in main hand and a shotgun in the offhand, your sniper bullets will bounce and deal more damage the closer you are, merging all their effects. So basically, you give the Officer a gun and he says, nah, thanks, I already got one. Give the Knight a gun and he says, thanks, now I have 2. Give the Gunner a gun and he just goes,
Do I feel lucky? Well...
Do ya? Punks?
This right here made me somehow enjoy using snipers, my most hated weapon type in the game. This is because this skill straight up removes all weaknesses from them. Snipers' main weaknesses is that while they usually kill their target, they're way too slow to deal with multiple, which means you might not be able to grab a melee weapon because you'll need another weapon to clean up. With this thing, you can just remove entire waves. And since you can mix and match guns, you can also use a melee weapon to increase the sniper's fire rate, literally removing any weakness these things ever had. It's genuinely disgusting how much value you can get from this skill. Oh, and fun fact, when fully upgraded, the duration increases with every kill, just like the knight skills. Which means with enough enemies, you can shoot your ricochet sniper almost indefinitely. Pair that shit with a shotgun, and for the low price of risking putting yourself in a situation like this, you can get bouncing sniper bullets and one-shot even champion enemies. It's so goddamn fun. Giving explosive damage to rifles from the pistol upgrade is really good too. However, the range from the snipers is usually more than enough. The only downside to this is how hilariously weak it is against bosses. It doesn't last nearly enough to deal the needed damage, considering its lengthy cooldown. And since you can't reset it with kills, it just doesn't cut it. The shotgun plus assault rifle combo will deal nice damage, but it's not effective for other rooms, so coming prepared is wishful thinking. Don't forget that your passive most likely won't be active during a boss fight either, so the gunner is just not great for bosses. Besides that, this skill is one of my favorites in the whole game, and I commend Shellroom for designing it. For early game, go sniper and melee. You get protection for your melee weapon, and your sniper bouncing and attack speed should get you through the weaker enemies. For the mid game, take a shotgun and a sniper. You can deal with tougher enemies with a shotgun buff on your sniper, and once you have to deal with bosses, you can get close and use the shotgun in your main hand and beef up the damage while also potentially bouncing the bullets to any minions they spawn. For worlds where enemies are naturally close together like the Fire world, an assault rifle and a pistol will wipe them out pretty damn well. And for bosses, you can either go shotgun and a melee for more damage and attack speed, plus some protection, or assault rifle with shotgun for even more damage at the risk of no protection. It's actually baffling how this character that came out of nowhere with a seemingly simple gimmick of just shooting has this much nuance. I really love this guy. Now you might think yourself smart and try to find the 3 weapons buff to cook up the ultimate buff. However, that's not how it works. Even if you have the 3 weapons buff, the secondary buff is only given based on the next weapon in rotation. So if you have a sniper followed by a shotgun followed by a melee, using the shotgun gives close range damage and attack speed, the buff of the melee, no bouncing. And using the sniper gives the bouncing and close range damage, but not the attack speed. So if you're focused, you can do just like I did in this clip. Arrange the weapons with the correct order for the situation, put this weapon first, this weapon second, swap them out with a different weapon, and fix the queue with a few more swaps to put that weapon over there. And overall, the gunner really surprised me. I never thought I'd live the day to see me finish a game with a sniper. He's worth the money in my opinion, if not for his power, then for his fun factor. He's simple enough when it comes to his passive and starter, and the nuance of his skill give him a really fun place for creativity. I don't think 2 people will play the gunner the same way. Close enough, welcome back Aphelios. I give his gameplay a 9 out of 10. Extremely fun and creative, although let's be honest, some defense is still needed. Visually, let's just get this out of the way. No Patrick, a simple head doesn't make him Sheldon. This is just an aesthetic, and for his aesthetic, I'll be honest, I don't like it.
You're not a postal worker, are you?
Like, I see the fit, I swear, but I think he should have been older or something. He just looks angsty. Though I love that he's one of the few edgy characters in the game. We haven't had any of these in a while. His story with the officer is cool, and I hope to see it expanded on. 7 out of 10 for me visually, but I don't hate it. I just don't think I'd ever use his default skin once one free skin drops on him. So in general, still giving him a 9 out of 10 overall, just because god damn.
You gotta admit this is cool!
Okay, I know this video has been going on for a while, but you gotta stay up and awake. So get up, stretch a little, grab a bottle of water. It's time to talk about the Rework heroes. Remember, you wanted this. Starting with the Priestess, her healing packs got 2 major changes. First off, it now increases your armor by 2 over the maximum. This is a buff that only granted when you enter the pack and ticks down whenever you're outside of it, refreshing upon entry. This is a bold buff targeted at single play, and overall it's not really that impactful. It encourages you to use the skill early, which is great, but since it doesn't refill your armor unlike health, it kind of is just a non-existent buff for using it for recovery, which is how the skill was meant to be used. That being said, a push to using it more offensively to make use of that 20 damage it deals at the end and making the Priestess overall more proactive is definitely welcome. It's no Arcane Knight's second skill, but 2 extra armor can be the difference between a life and revive at. Is it enough to push her up? Not really. Which is weird because this is her old problem. She's not good in single play. So if the rework doesn't fix that, what does the rework do? The second change is that in multiplayer, using the healing pact on a dead teammate will actually rapidly revive them.
Heroes never die!
Which is by far the most potassium rich ability I've ever seen because this shit is bananas. Removing the risk and delay on reviving a teammate in a risky situation while also providing them with health and bonus armor, mind you, when they wake up, makes the Priestess deadass a must-pick for co-op. It's a nasty power that just makes her shoot to the top when she already was top 3 in co-op, which, once again, is weird because she was already pretty strong in co-op, one of the best even. Buffing the aspect of her instead of what she actually needs misses the whole point of reworking character, and doesn't fix the original problem that she had. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight that fails, so your solution is to make the knife sharper. Yes, the knife is now even more deadly in melee combat, but homie, you're still getting shot in the face. And I remind you that this piece of hot garbage wasn't touched. There was one skill that needed it the most, didn't even get affected. And now that the Priestess free skill is this powerful in co-op, and Prey is, Prey, there is even less reason to use this skill. And this skill cost money, by the way. Might as well be burning it. As such, I give this rework a 5 out of 10. It's a cool change, and it solidifies the Priestess as a co-op staple, but it misses the point too much, and the spirit of the rework is just missing. Oh well. At the end of the day, it still makes dying on her extremely punishing in co-op, because it's not like she can revive herself.
What the fuck?
Now on to the Taoist, who, I'll be honest, I'm still surprised to see on this list to be reworked. I mean, yeah, he's not the strongest character in the game, he's not the best character, he's not the fastest character, he's not the safest character.
Not a wise man, not a smart man, but dear Lord, I tried.
Let's first talk about his first skills. Genesis of Swords used to just spawn a bunch of swords that orbited you for a few seconds, destroying bullets, before all flying around and dealing damage to enemies. It was basically a worse version of his second skill, with the trade-off of dealing decent damage. Now, the swords multiply when they crit, have overall higher crit rate, and your attacks during the skill mark enemies. The swords prioritize marked targets. Did this make the Taoist's first skill better? Well, it's the same rework they gave the Druid all these years back, and we all saw how well that one turned out. It was so bad, Chillroom had to rework him. It was so over. Admittedly, it's not as bad as that version of the Druid because the skill itself already wasn't that bad. This just adds more consistency, which is good. It's still a worse Bauga though. Speaking of Bauga, it also got a small update. It used to just create an aura to fix projectiles back where they came from. And notice how I didn't say back at the attackers, because this shit misses more often than not. And it also boosts the damage of any projectiles fired within it, which makes the Taoist good for co-op. Now, it also pushes enemies away when first cast and deals some damage. Honestly, this is a really nice quality of life. Now you can use it in a reactive manner when you're surrounded, which, I mean, rarely happens, but hey, it sometimes does. It also says that it buffs up teammates with a random buff when used, but me and Zed played around with it and we didn't notice a thing, so I don't know. Honestly, 7 out of 10. Nice quality of life changes, and his skills are definitely stronger now. Still worse than his third skill, so still will be mainly using that. Yeah, I don't know either. I really don't see why the Taoist of all characters was reworked. Like, buddy, you're a good character already. Not the best, but decent. The hell you're doing here? Alright, now we're onto the meat of the rework section, the officer, who got pretty much a full kit revamp. It's still really surreal to me that this happened. Like, I genuinely felt like he'd be forever stuck in this sad stage he was in. I won't go over how he used to work since I already covered that in my officer video, link in the description. I recommend watching that first, then continuing this section. First off, his passive. His passive is not touched at all. It's still the combo buff and not the accuracy buff. Off to a great start. No, but seriously, the rework is good, don't worry, you'll see. Starting off with his first skill, Gunswing. The problem with the skill has always been the scaling. You only get 8 damage bullets regardless of floor, and it took too much time and energy to load up and fire them. Not only that, but it also wasn't rewarding at all to use them. Well, this is exactly the area that Rework targeted. Now, the officer gains bonus damage based on how many enemies he has killed. Every 30 defeated enemies grant the devotee of peace 1 extra damage per shot. Meaning that if you go out of your way to farm as much enemies as you can and use the skill constantly, you can increase it to a comfortable 10 to 20 bonus damage per shot. Remember that you can fire up to 6 shots, and remember that they have 8 base damage. So if you get good at this, the previously 48 damage burst that was barely enough to kill a champion enemy can now get to 168. I repeat, if you farm enough, you can remove almost a fifth of some boss's health with just one use of your skill.
You know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
This has a cap and floor mode of 99 damage after 2,970 enemies, which, yeah, good luck. But in Matrix mode, that shit stacks infinitely.
Say that again? I couldn't hear you over the sound of me shitting myself.
This legitimately changed everything. Not only does this mean the skill scales amazingly now, but it also encourages a whole new playstyle unique to the officer, farming. It encourages you to take more rooms than normal, and to try to make every kill a devotee kill, and even tried and leave spawners alive to try and siphon more kills, which I would do if I didn't suck ass at it. It's generally a ton of fun using the skill now, which is something I never expected to say. We're not done, because the officer now joins the BARD mechanic gang. If you defeat 3 enemies consecutively, you enter a duel state.
It's high noon.
Granting you faster skill cooldown, faster bullets, and increased bullet size. Yes, shooting people in the face inspires the officer to load up the big guns.
Step right up.
Since you'll be trying to farm for devotee damage anyways, the duel state will almost always be active, which makes farming even easier. And oh, by the way, the skill now also stores up to 6 charges instead of 4, so you can load up the devotee all at once, unlike pre-rework, which orders for constantly using the skill, and it scales, and it's even more convenient to use. Yes, it still lacks defense, but its offense and fun factor improved massively, so now good dodging feels like it improves everything rather than being necessary to even get any value out of this. Amazing idea. Can't wait to see people with 1000 plus damage on their devotees in Matrix Run. Now on to the next skill, Bounty Tag. It only got one change. Now when marked enemies die, they spread the mark to other targets. This is honestly more of a quality of life change. The skill had a 2-second cooldown. You were not going to be like, ah damn, can't mark this guy, it's on cooldown. That never happens. That being said, it marks multiple enemies if they were close, which makes this a money printing machine. Seriously, if you ever need some gems, hop into a game with this skill and just keep blasting. You'll get any character you want in no time. Now on paper, this rework seems pretty harmless, and honestly it kind of is, but it has one tiny contradiction. Remember how I said Bounty Tag had a synergy with staffs and shotguns by making the bullets focus on one target instead of spreading them out? Well, the fact that the tag splits to multiple targets means that the shots spread out, which reduces how good this strategy was. Now it does still help by reducing how many can miss, but still it's likely less effective. It's not a massive downside, but it is there, and it's still pretty good against bosses, so I guess it's not too bad. I can see why they don't want to turn it into the Necromancer's first skill 2.0, but it's not the best direction. Still fun though. Next up, we have Close Air Support. Its problems were simply that most of the damage was pretty much wasted. While the single line of damage sometimes got decent value, its uncontrolled nature and how hard it was to aim it where you want made it just a shitty version of the Alchemist's second skill. Well, the uncontrolled nature is exactly what Shadowrun focused on. Literally, they made a whole ass control for it. Now, that joystick, which is really awkward to use on an emulator by the way, selects an area to drop the bombs, concentrating them into a specific area and giving you full control on the explosion. This was actually how I suggested the skill to be reworked in my original video, and it's just as helpful as I predicted. You can now use it to clear out a hard section of the room or behind cover to ensure that there is a safe path for you to dodge. I've seen some people say that this was actually a nerf since it reduced how big the explosion radius is. And all I gotta say is,
Are you actually this stupid?
Seriously, I try to be better and not sound arrogant when I talk about stuff like this. But like, seriously, this skill was barely useful when the line was uncontrolled, even if it was big. This is 10 times better. It still lacks defense, but overall the new joystick made the skill a lot more consistent, something it desperately needed. Overall, the officer went from a pretty weak damage crit character with average at best skills to one of the most fun and unique characters in the game, in my opinion. He has multiple unique mechanics and rewards for putting in the time with him, which is great. This rework in general gets a 9.5 out of 10 from me. What a great redesign for a character that really needed it. I might make an officer revisited video one day to put my full thoughts out, but for now, just know that if the rewards coming up ahead are going to be like this, we're in for a really good time. Overall, 7.0.0 is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best updates Sona has ever gotten in a long while. With so much to do and to farm for, I think everyone will have a blast trying this update out. The new characters specifically, I think are great additions to the game, and while the BARD is potentially going to be a one-trick character only, the Punter is fun enough for me to consider this batch of characters good in general. So enjoy the rest for now, chill room. This was a great update. Thanks for watching. Sorry for how long this review took to make, but I mean, look at how much I had to cover. Do you blame me? Script alone was 23 pages. Like and subscribe for more content and let me know what you'd like to see next. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.